Imagine a world where 7.8 billion people wake up one fine morning only to find out that the internet has stopped working. At first, it may seem like a minor inconvenience, a momentary glitch, or perhaps an opportunity for a digital detox. But soon enough, reality sinks in. You can't access your emails, no social media updates, no streaming services. The online world as we know it has suddenly ground to a halt. There's a ripple of disbelief, mounting frustration, and a gnawing fear of the unknown. The internet has truly gone to sleep. What could cause such a widespread internet outage? Maybe critical web infrastructure is sabotaged by a sophisticated cyber attack, or perhaps our telecom satellites are hit by a solar flare. Whatever the trigger, the immediate effect is profound. Banks can't process transactions. Airports and train stations scramble as digital ticketing and flight information systems go offline. E-commerce grinds to a halt, affecting businesses globally. Healthcare systems, heavily reliant on web-based services, suddenly face chaotic situations. The power grid, the armed forces, public transportation, everything collapses like a row of dominoes. In effect, the day the internet died will mark the commencement of digital darkness, a dystopia that we've only seen in apocalyptic science fiction stories. This first part of our essay sheds light on the promising start of the internet era, the role it played in shaping our world, and the dreadful consequence we might face were it to suddenly disappear. As ripples from the internet blackout start to spread, the long-term scenario of a world sans the web begins to shape, and it isn't particularly appealing. We saw in Part 1 the immediate impacts on infrastructure and services, but the indelible ink of this disaster has only started to stain the fabric of our society. Let's now delve into the global after-effects of this catastrophic event. Imagine the impact on our globalized economy, built on the foundation of internet connectivity. International trade depends on logistics networks, which rely on internet communication to function effectively. Prices would skyrocket due to supply chain disruptions, leading to economic instability worldwide. Think about the education sector, dependent on e-learning platforms, especially amidst the current pandemic situation. Without the web, learning seems to become a privilege again, returning us to an era where access to knowledge was reserved for the few. Consider entertainment. No streaming platforms, online gaming, or digital music. A significant part of our leisure activities would cease to exist. The news industry would grapple to disseminate information, leading to uninformed citizens. It's a scenario of lost globalization, leading to a world disconnected, disarrayed, and disoriented. In times of crises, communication is of the essence. If the internet sleeps, it's as if our voices are shackled. The platforms enabling movements and revolutions would darken, voices of rebellion would silence, activists would be curtailed, and the world would be left hearing less of the voices that matter. This part explores such grim realities of a world without the World Wide Web, woven into the systems that tether our society together. The following image prompts illustrate these aspects visually. Having investigated the economic, social, and political ramifications of an internet-free world, we now shift our focus to the very core of our lives, the personal impact. What awaits us in our homes, our relationships, our minds if the internet were to suddenly disappear? Intriguingly, a myriad of emotions will surround us. At first, disbelief and frustration may cloud our thoughts as we struggle to process what's happening. As time progresses, the feeling of disconnect from the world could lead to anxiety and eventually depression, especially for those reliant on digital connections. Without the internet acting as our gateway to the world, we can no longer digitally communicate with the people we love, who may be a world away. The miles between us would feel even more onerous. Virtual meetings, friendships nurtured in chat rooms, long-distance relationships, all would take a hit. Modern romances that bloomed over instant text exchanges would need to relearn the art of letters, and the pace of life would certainly slow down. Yet, on the merits, our attention, once fragmented by relentless feeds and messages, could be repurposed for more grounded experiences. People might start rediscovering the joy of face-to-face conversations, gardening, reading printed books, or simply enjoying the tranquility of solitude. Old hobbies burrowed under the daily tide of notifications might reappear, and outdoor activities could thrive. In such isolating times, communities might rediscover their strength. Festive celebrations, community gatherings, neighborhood picnics might spring into existence to replace the engagement vacuum created by the internet's disappearance, reminding us of a not-so-ancient time when connection was tangibly human. It's easy to view the disappearance of the internet through a doom-filled lens. Yet, like every cloud has a silver lining, could there be unseen opportunities nestled within this situation? Consider this. With the demise of online distractions, we might experience resurgence in mindful living, appreciating the present moment without constant digital interference. Freed from the shackles of our screens, we might become more attuned to nature, more aware of the world beyond pixels. Stargazing, birdwatching, forest walks might make a sublime comeback in our lives. The dearth of digital resources might spur the human mind to be more innovative in solving problems, creating alternative means of doing things. Perhaps we might see the rise of community radio stations that broadcast local news, or ingenious youngsters inventing cool gadgets for daily mundane tasks. In the absence of digital art and design tools, traditional art could see a renaissance, with people exploring mediums like painting, pottery, sculpture, and more. Creativity might flourish unfettered, leading to timeless masterpieces. Change often births resilience. A global catastrophe like this might reinforce our ability to survive and adapt. We might discover simpler, kinder ways of living and interacting, helping us reevaluate what's really crucial for our happiness. Will the sleep of the internet be unbearable? Certainly. Yet it might also awaken us a curiosity and resilience that the comfort of the past few decades has lulled to slumber. Having traversed through an apocalyptic digital blackout, it is now time to contemplate. How could we, as a society, adapt, build resilience, and potentially recover in such a scenario? How can we maneuver towards a future less reliant on the internet? Firstly, redundancy in key systems would be crucial for resilience. Backup platforms operating independently from the internet could provide alternative service routes. For example, financial systems might revert to standalone banking networks established pre-internet era. Investment in less digitally dependent infrastructure would become more important than ever. Governments might need to revisit old-school communication systems like radio networks. Revival of postal services could occur to keep long-distance communication alive. Developing offline libraries of knowledge would be vital for maintaining education. Schools would champion the preservation and dissemination of hard copies of knowledge and might establish local repositories. Community resilience would be key. Relying on each other in our local areas could foster a stronger sense of community and shared responsibility. On a personal level, learning to live unplugged would be a challenge, yet necessary. We would need to rediscover ways to live fulfilling lives without the internet. The digital storm would be tough, but it would prompt retaliation and adaptation, marking the beginning of a new era. This final part of the essay paints a less bleak future, offering practical solutions and encouraging a resilient spirit in the face of such adversity.